Well, from right across the political divide, our MPs have joined together to accuse the BBC of not spending enough money here. According to one campaign group, our part of the country contributes 25% of the total licence fee, but the BBC spends only 2% here. The corporation points out that it's creating 300 jobs in Birmingham, and as our BBC Coventry and Warwickshire political reporter Sian Greszczyk explains, spending is going up as well.
Does the BBC spend enough of the licence fee in the Midlands? That was the question in a Westminster Hall debate on Tuesday. The answer from the politicians, a resounding no.
The West Midlands is, of course, the centre of Britain's creative talents. William Shakespeare, Jerome, K. Jerome, J.R. Tolkien, all of whom are from the West Midlands. And isn't it a complete disgrace that whilst the West Midlands contributes 25% of the licence fee, the BBC spends just 2% of its budget fostering creative talent in the region?
The cost of the TV licence is currently £145.50. The Campaign for Regional Broadcasting Midlands says from each of those licence fees, the BBC invests just £12 in the Midlands. That compares with £80 in the north of England, £122 in Wales and £757 in London. The BBC responded, saying it's created 300 jobs in Birmingham. The tide is turning, even though the licence fee hasn't gone up for 5 years.
Given that, and the amount of activity we actually do here in Birmingham, we do hundreds of hours of drama, we've got world-famous radio programmes made here, our brilliant regional and local programmes. So we're building that, we're bringing the BBC Academy, our training division here, and a lot of our HR functions, as well as stuff like our digital innovation unit. It's a building story, and as I say, spending is probably by the end of this year going to be 60% more than it was last year.
That will bring spending in the Midlands up to £125 million next year. But will it be enough to satisfy campaigners and MPs who think licence fee payers in this region still aren't getting a good enough return for their money?
Sian Greszczyk there on a genuinely cross-party occasion in Westminster Hall. Mark, does it matter if there is a big difference between the contribution that licence payers in a region put in and the amount that the corporation invests back in that area?
Well, to a certain extent, I kind of agree that you're going to get hubs of excellence. So, for example, in Bristol, you have the BBC has a natural history unit, and it's fantastic, and you get that because it's concentrated there. But you know, these numbers can be put a different way. And if you live in London, for every £1 that's spent by licence fee payers, you get £5.22 worth of investment. In the Midlands, for every £1 licence fee payers put in, they get 8.5p back. Now, you know, Patrick, you are the personification of just how much you can get for 8.5p with your talent. But it's not enough. It's not enough. And even with this extra money coming in, we'll still be the second worst funded region. Albeit,
as we heard there, the BBC is actually increasing spending 60% year on year, which is
it's still the second worst.
It's good that the BBC is starting to address this, but the figures are pretty stark, aren't they? We need more investment here in the Midlands by the BBC, and the image that people sitting at home will have seen of those empty offices, it's just not good enough, really. And we need to do more. And there is cross-party agreement on this, and we've got the Charter coming up. And the Prime Minister's even said earlier this year, and I agree with him, he said this in March, that this is an opportunity to look at exactly these issues. And I think it is right that we get more investment in this part of the country.
Well, Emma's mentioned the Charter, and the licence fee, of course, is very much at the centre of the political headlines at the moment. And there is, as part of those headlines, talk that the Conservative Party has a vendetta against the BBC, that David Cameron was unhappy with the election coverage, and that frankly, this is all going to feed through into the debate about the licence fee and the Charter.
I mean, one of the strange things, sort of talking in the tea room in the House of Commons, is that I think Labour politicians are just as sort of grumpy, if you like, about BBC's coverage. I think all politicians always think the BBC is biased against them.
Would Ofcom make a better job of governing it than the present trust?
I don't think so. Look, you know, I'm probably sort of slightly out of kilter with my party, but actually I think you get really good value for money. We get fantastic output from the BBC. It's incredibly creative. It's got a lot of talent, and it is a benchmark for excellence in broadcasting the world over.